Welcome to Constant V, Episode 4, August 28th, 2016, Part 1 of Turpentine Creek. I'm your host, Vince Capps. Those sounds in the background of insects were caroling lions from Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge, where I camped out in Eureka Springs, Arkansas last night. Again, that's Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge. And the lion you just heard was only 100 yards away from my tent. And though you may be able to hear them carol as far as 5 miles, they sometimes just sing those lovely enchantments, hoping they'll receive a response from perhaps another lion. So few that are caroling in Turpentine Creek, more of them do it as a cage fulfillment that we all have in a main full of ways, especially like the human beings that raise a baby tiger or lion of some sort, not to realize how big and dangerous it's going to be someday when it grows out of being bottle fed. These people that believe they can defy the instincts of wild animals are ironically the reason why the animals are in the refuge in the first place. What I'm telling you here, folks, is that if you decide to create or write something, because Constant V has nothing to do with being a wildlife refuge, it's about being a refuge for creatives. If you believe that you can create something that can change the world, first experiment a bit without committing to it, and verify that your project is worthwhile. Ask yourself, do I understand it? Do I love it? Because once you've completed it, or perhaps come near completing it, you may never receive the response you dreamed. You may have to walk into darkness with the growth that you can't quite carry. Perhaps in a new habitat that's much darker than what was required to start your project, while only listening to a few insects or less. The electric sounds of insects do heal, though, but the lions, they can haunt you if you don't open your heart. And some of you may already have the heart of one with a stomach that can hold leaked blood. Whichever your goal in life is to continue creating and to do it because you love your own response. You love to carol like a caged lion despite not receiving a response. I started Constant V to so-called carol my own cause for writing. But I've yet to add a way to contact me on my own website. So you can count on there being that next Sunday, as well as other content. And I'll take submissions that are content questions, or an additional voice would be nice. So speaking of voice, September the 11th, Sunday after next, we'll have a special guest, Jan Robbins, who was Harold Robbins' executive, or still is Harold Robbins' executive assistant for over 10 years. And she was executive assistant for 10 years before marrying him, was wife for 5 years before he passed away. If you grew up in the 90s, you may have heard of the book The Carpetbaggers, which Harold wrote amongst his dozen or so other novels. He sold over 750 million copies of fiction worldwide. I'd like to thank Jan for her own book, Harold and Me, My Life, Love, and Hard Times with Harold Robbins. I admit the book was the only other voice I had last night, and it is a strong one. I also would like to thank my friend Mike Miller for introducing me to Jan earlier this week. Though our interview isn't until the week after next, September the 11th, I alone will briefly discuss Harold and Me, her book, Jan Robbins' book, during the second half of next week's show. I highly recommend it. Thanks so much for listening to Constant V. I know this was a short show. I literally just got back from camping. I'm Vince Capps, and here are a few clips from my morning tour at Turpentine Creek, along with the song The Secret to Happy Cats by the band Omega. It's Omyiga, in their album Bending Colors. Good night, folks.
Characteristics of a lion and a tiger. You'll notice that he has a little bit of a mane, Brady does, and that's characteristic of a male lion. But they also have stripes, and their ears and their tails are that